On an unseasonably warm February day, two 8th grade girls head out for some fresh air and sunshine in the little town of Delphi, Indiana. Their families could never have imagined the prolonged horror that lay waiting for them in the woods. Despite video and audio evidence of the suspect, 5 years later, no arrests have been made for their murders. Tonight, we share with you the continued plea to take just 1 minute and see if you recognize this man before he hurts anyone else. This is the case of Abigail Williams and Liberty Germain and the killer on the High Bridge. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, welcome to the Lost Souls of America podcast. I'm your host, Jamie, and joining us tonight is our beautiful producer, Amelia. Hi, Amelia.
Hey, Jamie. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm happy the weather's so nice today.
I know, it's a beautiful day. And it was a beautiful day like that the day that this whole case happened. And that's all I could think of today as I was thinking about this episode. And it was kind of a beautiful, warm, sunny day. All I could think about was how I wanted to go for a hike too. And it kind of hurt my heart a little bit to think about those poor girls. And so I'll get into all of that in a few minutes. And I'm looking forward to telling everyone that story. But before we get into tonight's story, I wanted to share an invitation with all of you. In episode 3, we had an interview with my friend Natasha where we shared the story of how we, and I guess, the internet collectively, contributed to closing the case of an unidentified hiker that the world called mostly harmless, whose real name turned out to be Vance Rodriguez. Well, we took a little downtime as a group, and now we are starting up the Facebook group again with a new investigation. Amelia and I are in there helping out, and we would love to invite you all to join too. We will put the link in our show notes, and we'd love for you to hop in there and get involved with us. You can help by searching missing persons databases and even just by sharing his poster as often as possible. We really do believe that sharing is going to be the key to finding this man's family. So that is the best thing that you can do. The group is also a really great place to bounce ideas off of other sleuths, make comparisons, and come up with creative ways for you to help. We'll put the link to the Facebook group in the show notes and on our website, and we really, really hope that you'll join us. There's not a lot of information available for this unidentified Joe case, but we're going to tell you as much as we can. So I'm going to read the quote directly from the GBI website for you. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations is requesting assistance from the public in identifying a deceased man believed to be a hiker on Springer Mountain, found on January 21st, 2022. The man was found specifically off the Benton McKay Trail, which is part of the Appalachian Trail in Fannin County. A forensic artist's rendering of the man is attached, and I'll put that on our website. The man was wearing a small gray t-shirt, a gray fleece long sleeve shirt, tan Wrangler brand cargo pants, size 30 by 32, gray wool boot socks, and Keen brand hiking boots, size 10 and a half. The man had in his possession a black thermal FR brand fleece quarter zip pullover, a dark gray Champion brand quarter zip fleece, a black Uline skull cap with rechargeable light attachment, and a small black folding shovel. This investigation is active and ongoing. Anyone with information regarding a person matching this description is asked to contact the GBI. Anonymous tips can be submitted by calling 1-800-597-TIPS 8477 or online. And I'll put that link again in our website, but it's gbi.georgia.gov/submit-tips-online. Or you can download the See Something, Send Something mobile app. Okay, so we hope to see everybody in the group, and we look forward to getting more involved with you there. Before we get too into tonight's episode, I do want to give a little bit of a disclaimer. I've really been wanting to cover this case since we started the podcast, and I just keep hesitating because there's so many rumors out there. But I've actually been saying for months that I truly feel like this case is going to be solved this year. Just a feeling I have. And so I'm going to do my best to share it with you in a way that's as accurate as possible. And I'll be sure to let you know if something is speculation or rumor. I've also included all of my sources, as I always do, on our website. So if you'd like to dive deeper into this case personally, those are good, reliable places to start. Are you ready to hear all about it?
Yeah, I think we should just jump right in.
On the morning of February 13th, 2017, Liberty German and Abigail Williams wake up at Libby's grandparents' home the morning after a sleepover. The two are absolutely inseparable best friends, a bond that is very close and special to all of those who've witnessed it. Liberty goes by Libby to her family and friends. She's 14, adventurous, and really intelligent. Her sister describes Libby as an investigative person. She says, quote, she always had to ask questions and find out more about something. 13-year-old Abigail goes by Abby, and she's described as kind and joyful with a passion for absolutely anything. Her mom, Anna, says that she, quote, loved people, loved pets, loved art, loved music, and tried anything under the sun at least once. The girls have grown up as classmates and are in 8th grade together at the Delphi Community Middle School. They have a special day off from school this day in their little town of Delphi, Indiana, because the district had not used up all of its built-in snow days, and they're giving the kids a day off with what is called a give back day. It's unseasonably warm this day, close to 60 like today. And so the girls decide to do exactly what their families are hoping they will do. They get off their screens and they go get some time outdoors in the fresh air. Libby's sister Kelsey drops the girls off at the parking area for a trailhead for the Mary Gerard Nature Preserve at around 1:30 that afternoon. The girls' plan is to walk southeast along the old, out-of-use rail trail onto the Monon High Bridge that goes about 60 feet above Deer Creek. They made plans to be picked up by Libby's dad around 3 p.m. and they set out. At 2:07, Libby takes a photo and posts it on social media of her best friend Abby stepping board by board across the tall train bridge. Unfortunately, that was the last that anyone would see of the girls. At 3:11, Libby's father called to say that he was close by and to get ready for him. But there was no answer. He tried again, even walking a ways onto the trail himself to call for them. Naturally, he just assumed that they'd lost track of time, so he collects his parents, with whom they all live, and they all go and help him search. They call Abby's parents, who think, oh boy, those girls are grounded for this. And they join in looking for them too. By 5 p.m., as it begins to get darker and colder, everyone realizes that this is out of character behavior for their girls. And it causes alarm. Libby's grandfather, Mike, calls the sheriff at 5:30 p.m. In a close community like Delphi, word spreads quickly that there are 2 missing teenagers lost in the woods. And what seems like the whole town shows up that night to help look. Search teams of volunteers are each paired up with a leader from the fire or police department, and everyone combs the area on and off the trail looking for signs of the girls. Maybe one of them had fallen and gotten hurt, and the other one didn't want to leave her alone. Maybe they fell off the bridge or down an embankment. Surely they'd be found quickly. As the evening progresses, that eerie fear grows harder to shake for the families who know just how frightened Libby is of the dark. Abby's mom, Anna, says then, that worried me because I knew then that the odds of them just being out screwing around were not good. When there's still no sight or sign of the girls by midnight, official search teams take a pause. They still think that the girls will turn up any minute. Hey, the late movie is about to be over. Maybe you'll find them at home and they'll be in trouble for simply breaking some rules. The locals would not give up, though, with dozens of people staying to search through the night. Anna recalls around 2 a.m. having to head back to the car when she realizes that people are looking in the water, and she, as a mom, refuses to search for their bodies. She's still convinced that she'll just be grounding her daughter later. The next morning, the search quickly resumes in a well-organized effort with multiple agencies on board, prepared to find those missing kids. The effort is urgent, especially since they must have spent the night alone outdoors in the woods, and the whole community just converges in hopes of finding them safely. Kelsey, Libby's sister, is out with a group of volunteers searching under the railroad bridge when she hears someone yell out a question about what the girls were wearing that day. 24 hours after they'd set out for their adventure, the bodies of Abigail Williams and Liberty German were found along Deer Creek, less than a mile from where they had been safely dropped off. While the families are consumed in their grief, the search and rescue efforts rapidly shift gears into an investigation. Autopsies are done and evidence is collected, though the police hold back all of those details. They do confirm everyone's worst fears very quickly. We now have a double homicide investigation. Immediately, the Indiana State Police hold a press conference calling for anyone who was on the trail that day to come forward with what they saw or maybe even photographed. Along with that announcement, they released a photo from Libby's phone of a man walking on the bridge toward the girls. Libby's grandfather believes that the girls were snapping the images of him because they knew something wasn't right. State police hope the photo will bring him forward. If this guy sees a photo of himself on the news and he had no involvement, certainly he'd be eager to clear it up and share any info he had. But the photo release, surprisingly, reveals nothing. Meanwhile, the whole community mourns the loss of these joyful, fun-loving girls. And anger is boiling under the surface. The whole town feels victimized. Anna herself says, this doesn't happen in Delphi. And historically speaking, she's not wrong. The country gains word of the story, and everyone everywhere is now invested in the tragic and scary case of the girls from Delphi. If this could happen in a small town to someone else's kids, could it happen here? Could it happen to mine? On February 22nd, 2017, Indiana State Police, along with the mayor, the prosecutor, the sheriff, the police chief, the state police superintendent, FBI agents, and the chief public information officer, all hold a press conference to update the nation on the status of the case. During this conference, they announced that the man on the bridge is officially a suspect and ask for the public's help. Listen now to the Indiana State Police Superintendent Douglas Carter speak about how personal this is for all of them while he describes the investigation and the suspect.
The poster in front of you. Someone knows who this individual is. Someone knows who this individual is. Is it a family member? Is it a neighbor? Is it an acquaintance? Is it an associate? Or maybe that one guy that lives over at that one place that just kind of not right. Maybe it's his jeans. Maybe it's his jacket or his sweatshirt. Maybe it's his shirt tail. Maybe it's his posture. Maybe it's the right hand in his pocket. You see, even with technology, we need human intelligence. In other words, we need you. I'm not suggesting that science, that everything that we can do as science has been done, because we are just getting started. Abby and Libby deserve us. They deserve every single one of us, and not just the people standing up here on the stage that have given so much of their lives to not just this, but to this profession, but each and every one of you. Each and every person listening, watching, or seeing this in some form, we need you. Libby and Abby need you. Please do not rationalize tips away. Rationalize what you think that might not be important away by thinking he would never do that to another human being. Or think what I know doesn't matter. Let folks like the people that are standing behind me with such incredible passion and commitment and dedication to this profession make that determination. Tips are anonymous. Some might not want to talk about it because they don't want to get involved, because they know the individual. Again, he may be a family member, probably has family. No one will ever know. No one will ever know. There's not an agency on the planet better than helping us facilitate this than the FBI. And they're as entrenched in this as anybody. No one will know. As poor as this picture is, somebody knows. And if you're watching, we'll find you. Who's next? I hate to ask you that question. I'd give my life to not have to. But I know you've asked yourself that very question. We must recognize it. You see, we're all the same. We're all human beings. We must keep our resolve for Libby and Abby, for this community, and frankly, to ensure that good trumps evil, and it will. You're going to hear more in just a minute about what we know. Do not discount the voice that you'll hear. We will stay committed with resolve, very rarely exhibited with human behavior until this conclusion. Please be patient. Become our partners and communicate with us as often as you can.
Greg Massa, Assistant Special Agent in charge for the FBI, shares some new updates from the BAU for the public at this press conference.
To the members of the community, when I met with our behavioral analysis unit and their expertise and their experience, it is oftentimes even unwitting that a member of the community may have information that is germane to this investigation. And I'd like the community to go back 9 days and go back to the afternoon of February 13th, Monday, February 13th, and just think if you had an interaction with an individual who inexplicably canceled an appointment that you had together, or an individual called into work sick and canceled an important appointment or a social engagement, and at the time gave what would have been a plausible explanation. My cell phone broke, or I had a flat tire on my car. But in retrospect, that excuse no longer holds water. That may be important. Likely so are behavioral indicators that this individual may have exhibited since the afternoon of May 13th. Did this individual travel unexpectedly? Did they change their appearance? Did they shave their beard, cut their hair, change the color of their hair? The superintendent mentioned the clothes that this individual was wearing in the photo. Did they change the way they dress? Did their behavior change? Did their sleep pattern is different now? Did they start abusing drugs or alcohol, whereas they would not have? Have they been anxious, nervous, irritable? Have they followed this case and what the media is putting out with a sense that is not normal? Have they had ongoing discussions regarding their whereabouts on that afternoon or thereafter? Please, if you have that information, call that into the tip line.
Captain Dave Burston, Chief Public Information Officer to the Indiana State Police, shares an audio clip from Libby's cell phone here.
We do have some new information for you today. It's in the form of an audio file from the cell phone that Liberty Germain had with her at the time. We're not going to play everything that we have, but Liberty had the presence of mind to turn on her video camera. Again, we're not going to be able to share everything with you, but we are going to share this audio clip with you momentarily with the hope that somebody will recognize this voice. And I want to be very clear that what you're about to hear is just 4 short words. 3 words, down the hill. You're going to hear this played 4 times. The audio quality is not superb, but there's enough there that somebody could recognize this person's voice. And as Superintendent Carter said, not to rationalize away. If you hear this today and you think, my God, that sounds like fill in the blank, call us. Make an anonymous tip. Tell us who you think it is. Let us investigate it. If it's not the right person, they'll just be out a little bit of time and they'll be cleared and they can go on and they'll never know that you called. But you may tell us who the right person was. And you could be the person that helps us to solve this horrible crime. Micah, play the clip, please. Would you play it one more time?
Not a super great clip.
It's a short clip, yeah.
I don't know how people would get someone from that.
Yeah. And that's actually a conversation that a lot of people have had. I'm going like off script here, but that's a conversation that a lot of people have had since then. It's how it sounds like literally everybody. Like it could be any guy. You know what I mean?
And like nobody at the same time.
Right.
Like,
right.
Like I don't even think I hear down the hill.
Yeah. To me, it sounds like one of those things that you find on Instagram where it's like, what did they say? And you're supposed to say what you think they said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. A lot of people agree with you. You're not alone in that thought. And they do release more later, so we'll get to that in a few minutes. But according to an interview with Abby's mom for Investigation Discovery, the image of the man appears to have been taken from the far end of the bridge, with the girls being around 40 feet away from him. She says that they'd have had no choice but to wait for him to cross near them to the side before they could pass to get back to the parking lot for their 3:15 pickup. She also points out the scary reminder that the girls wouldn't have been able to run across that bridge due to the large gaps between the railroad ties and the possibility of a huge, massive, deadly fall. If this suspect is indeed the person who hurt the girls, they were sitting ducks with no opportunity to escape him. Down the hill, quote, would have taken the girls away from that bridge that they needed to cross and down toward Deer Creek, which is exactly where their bodies were found. She does tell ID that she was given access to a little bit more of that tape from Libby's phone, in which she reveals that Libby then tells the man that the path ends here and they can't go any further. Heartbreaking and haunting last words for their families to have to live with. From here on out, the FBI takes over the tip line and the reward for information skyrockets. Billboards are put up all across the country, and the community installs orange lights on their porches to honor the girls by lighting up Delphi, something I hear can still be seen on many homes to this day. On March 9th, 2017, Mike Patty, Libby's grandfather, speaks publicly for the first time on behalf of both families.
A little over 3 weeks ago, February 13th, our girls went missing. On February 14th, they were found victims of a double homicide. This horrible crime has torn a hole in our families that'll never heal. It's the small things that seem to hurt the most. It's just natural to holler for them to come to dinner or in the mornings to get up and get ready for school. Then expect them to come through the door after school. The silence when we don't hear their voice. Our girls were excited about the upcoming softball season. Just the day before all this happened, they had their equipment out playing catch, working on their batting in the backyard, going to the ball field with Anna to hone their skills for the upcoming season. But they'll never get to play a single inning again. There are too many ways to count how our lives will forever be impacted to share here today. I imagine most people listening that have raised or are raising children know how kids can be. A phrase that was jokingly attached to Libby and our family, from asking her to pick up her shoes, her school backpack, her coat, her first reply would almost always be, "I will, in a minute." We joke with her about this all the time. I believe if she were able to speak, she would ask people, please give her the 1 minute she always asked for, to really study the picture and listen to the audio clip. Someone out there knows this person or persons. He's someone's neighbor, coworker, family member, friend, husband, or acquaintance. If and when any new information is released by law enforcement, please take another minute from your day to review all the information and help us collect the pieces of this puzzle. Both of our families are requesting everyone to please help Abby and Libby. Look for someone who's recently changed their appearance, cut their hair, shaved, or started wearing different clothes. Have they changed in some strange manner that just seems a little odd? If you think it could be, but then say, no, he's not like that, go with your initial instinct. Let law enforcement run that information and make that determination. However small it may seem, it is extremely vital to capture every tip we can get. Please, we need your help.
Though the FBI is overwhelmed with tips, nothing solid comes out of the suspect profile for months. So investigators go back to the drawing board, literally. According to local station Call 6, ISP says that they received new information and were able to release a new artist rendering of the suspect in hopes that this would reinvigorate the public's attention on that man. And it does kind of work. A couple potential persons of interest that we know of are investigated in the year following the girl's murder. I'm not going to get into all of them, but in September of 2017, investigators fly out to Colorado to interview a man named Daniel Nations, who had been arrested for threatening hikers with a hatchet on a trail where someone else had been shot and killed just 2 weeks prior to that. He had spent time living in Indiana. I'm not exactly sure when or how long, but at this point, he's extradited back to Indiana on warrants for unrelated charges, in part because he failed to register as a sex offender. The startling thing for me is just how much he looks like the artist's sketch of the suspect. Even his own wife publicly agreed that they look a lot alike. I mean, I'm going to post this on our website. Amelia, wait till you see it, because it looks to me like the sketch looks to me like if someone had drawn this man's picture.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's very similar. Yeah.
Both of them vehemently deny his involvement. And by the 1-year anniversary of the double homicide, police announced that he is no longer being looked at with interest. In 2019, the investigative team hosts a new press conference in order to unveil a new sketch and some additional sound to the audio recording. Take a listen to ISP Superintendent Douglas Carter again here.
I got to say to the Delphi community how grateful I am. You inspire people you don't even understand, and you don't even understand why. Information is being released today is the result of literally thousands and thousands of hours of extraordinary investigative efforts by Delphi, Carroll County, the FBI, the Indiana State Police, and countless other agencies. This community surrounded us some 26 months ago. And you did everything you could to support us, but most importantly, you surrounded the family of these 2 little girls. Gosh, I'll never forget it. After you hear what we're going to release today, I'm going to ask for your continued support, your continued understanding, your empathy and compassion as we move forward to find out who did this, and we will. We're seeking the public's help to identify the driver of a vehicle that was parked at the old CPS DCS welfare building in the city of Delphi that was abandoned on the east side of County Road 300 North next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway between the hours of noon to 5 on February 14th, 2017. If you were parked there or know who was parked there, please contact the officers at the command post at the Delphi City building. We are releasing additional portions of the audio recording from that day. Please keep in mind, the person talking is one person and is the person on the bridge with the girls. This is not 2 different people speaking. Please listen to it very, very carefully. We are also releasing video recovered from Libby's phone. This video has never before been previously released. The video shows a suspect walking on the bridge. When you see the video, watch the person's mannerisms as they walk. Watch the mannerisms as he walks. Do you recognize the mannerisms as being someone that you might know? Remember, he is walking on the former railroad bridge. Because of the deteriorated condition of the bridge, the suspect is not walking naturally due to the spacing between the ties. During the course of this investigation, we have concluded the first sketch released will become secondary as of today. The result of the new information and intelligence over time leads us to believe the sketch, which you will see shortly, is the person responsible for the murders of these 2 little girls. We also believe this person is from Delphi, currently or has previously lived here, visits Delphi on a regular basis, or works here. We believe this person is currently between the age range of 18 and 40, but might appear younger than his true age, directly to the killer, who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have. We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you, and you want to know what we know. A question to you: what will those closest to you think of when they find out that you brutally murdered 2 little girls? 2 children Only a coward would do such a thing. We are confident that you have told someone what you have done. Or at the very least, they know because of how different you are since the murders. We try so hard to understand how a person could do something like this to two children. I recently watched a movie called The Shack. And there's also a book that talks so well about evil, about death, and about eternity to the murderer. I believe you have just a little bit of a conscience left. And I can assure you that how you left them in that woods is not what they're experiencing today.
I know you can't see his face. I don't know if you can all tell the emotion in his voice. But if you watch that press conference, he's actually quite emotional. So a lot of new information, but also kind of not a lot of new information. It comes out of this press conference that day, right? Firstly, the police released the clip of the video. It's from Libby's phone, in which they previously had that still shot of the man in the hat. And it's a video of him taking a few more steps forward.
I'm wondering if it was like an iPhone live photo.
Possibly. Yeah, you might be right. Although I don't know, to me, the clip looks a little bit longer, but you might be right. It totally could be. But I think I'm actually pretty sure, I don't have a source for this. I don't know exactly where this came from. One of my sources will have it in there somewhere, but I'm actually pretty sure that Libby pulled out her phone and started recording, knowing that something bad was going to happen to her. And all of this is actually caught on video. And it sounded to me, if you listen to that press conference, it sounds to me like this is where they're confirming for sure that that guy from the photo, which we now know was not a photo, the guy from that photo on the bridge is the person that says down the hill. So he is the suspect. He is the person that hurt them. It's on video. Parts of it are on video. Does that make sense? I'm going to play a little bit more of the press conference audio for you, because they actually go on to re-release the audio from the down the hill part, and they add a little bit to it. I'm going to tell you in advance, all they add is the word guys. I'm still going to play it for you. I'm truthfully not 100% sure why they didn't feel like, and they'll never say, so we'll never know, but I'm not sure why they withheld that part of it, one word. I'm not really sure what difference it makes to now release the one more word, or why they withheld the image of the man, the video of the man walking, and only showed the still shot in the earlier 2 years prior press conference. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure, because to me, it doesn't seem like it adds that much, but let's all take a listen. Do you see what I'm saying? Like how they, me personally, I'm not sure how much more informative adding the word guys is, but that's just me.
Well, it sounds like they really cleared the audio up, because that was a million times clearer than the first one.
The audio?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was them, not me.
But I'm saying maybe that's why, because they were able to clear it up.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You think they edited it to sound clearer?
I think they enhanced it, yeah. Because the first one, I couldn't even tell what he was saying, but the second one was very clear.
Gotcha. Oh, you make a good point. Perhaps most importantly, though, is actually the new sketch, which police, you heard say, comes from new information, and it makes the previous sketch, in their own words, secondary. They also say that his age could be anywhere from 18 to 40, but they believe he's got a youthful appearance. And they reveal that they believe that he's likely a part of the Delphi community, whether he's a resident, works there, is connected in some other way. I find that terrifying. When they said, we might have even interviewed you, how often does that happen? We find that out after the fact in stories, that the perpetrator inserted themselves into the investigation, terrifying.
All the time. Like when they said, you might even be in this room right now, because that is so common with so many of these sociopaths.
Yeah, it gives me the chills. And I just, on a personal level, can't help but wonder how that makes the families feel. Like, don't you feel like you would look at everyone you've ever met with suspicion for the rest of your life, or until it's solved? I just can't even. Ooh. I don't feel like I would ever trust another human being ever again in my whole life.
No. But I think that'd be true regardless of if they lived in your town or 2 towns over or a state over.
Yeah, that's true. Also, the car that Superintendent Carter mentions early on in that clip was found abandoned on the side of the highway the day of the murders, like right at the time that the murders occurred. We don't have any information as to if they found anything in the car or if they've been able to establish a connection, but I know they're at least looking into it if they're asking about it at the press conference. Late in 2021, so just recently, it was around Christmas time, police announced that during their investigation into Abby and Libby's murders, they discovered a fake Snapchat profile going by the username Anthony_Shots, who allegedly used photos of a male model to solicit underage girls into sending nude photos or even meeting. Again, they asked for the public's help in identifying any information about that profile. And according to some heavily redacted court documents, it looks like that profile's been officially tied to a 27-year-old man named Keegan Anthony Klein, who was charged with 30 felonies, including, but not limited to, possession of child porn, child exploitation, obstruction of justice, child solicitation, and synthetic identity deception. Now, there are transcripts and rumors and lots of questionable things regarding this person floating around on the internet. So I just want to be clear that until the Indiana State Police make any kind of official comments, there is nothing concrete connecting him officially to the murders of Abby and Libby.
I was going to say one thing that's always interesting about him is how they think that his father might also have had access to that account. And that's kind of like an added weird thing, because one of the things the profiler said is this could be someone older who looks younger, whereas he's a young guy.
Yeah. I also think if you look at his photos, I don't think he physically matches the description.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why it's interesting that if his dad did have access to that account and his father was doing the same thing, like maybe it was him.
I have heard that. And I think that he, from what I saw, now again, I don't have any sources for this linked here, but from the article that I saw about that, it seems like the Keegan Klein person might have even kind of thrown his dad right under the bus about it as well. So it'll be interesting to follow that and see where that goes. This is only just recently coming to light because some of the transcripts of the conversations that Keegan Klein had with police somehow got in the hands of some podcasters. I don't know which podcast it was, so I'm not going to guess off the top of my head. I would have to go research, but I guess they released the transcripts. And so that's why the public is kind of knowing more about this now. It's not because the police have released any info. The only thing that the ISP has said about it is when they said in December, hey, does anyone know who this guy is? And then they went and conducted the rest of the investigation themselves, privately or whatever. As of today, 5 years after their tragic deaths, there is still no answer to the question of who killed Abby and Libby. The investigators have been very upfront that they are not releasing most of the information to the public because of the ongoing nature of the investigation. When we catch him, we want to be able to prosecute him. This includes the cause and manner of death, the time of death, and any evidence collected on the scene. We don't even know what evidence or information they have. Before I leave you with a call to action tonight, I want to remind you again to be careful of speculation versus confirmed information. This case is huge on Reddit and web sleuths, and people have been comparing everyone and their brother to those sketches, some very publicly and by name. I'm also honestly, on a personal note, horrified by the people who want to daydream, imagine, recount, and describe what could have happened to those girls to cause their death. Now, I understand everyone is curious because it's just so horrific, but it's not been released, and we will not speculate on that here. It serves no beneficial purpose from my point of view, at least, and we just don't want to engage in that. If you do choose to go down the rabbit hole on your own with this investigation, please use a very discerning eye and ear. Remember, her family, or even the killer, could be watching and reading anything you say. For Abby's mom, Anna, The pain of her loss is all too real. She says, it's not even so much about what I'm missing right now. It's about what I'm going to miss the rest of her life. For Libby's grandfather, Mike, his grief is what propels him forward. As he says, I'll continue to fight until I'm no longer able to, until I'm no longer on this earth. Do you have any final thoughts for us, Amelia?
I just think it's really awful. I really hope that the person gets caught soon.
There's like a, 6 or 8 part podcast called Down the Hill. I have not listened to it myself. They have also released, I want to say it's a documentary also called Down the Hill, which I have not watched. I am including all of the sources that I used, but there's a ton more. I mean, this is a pretty popular case. So please feel free, everybody, to take a look and do your digging. Take a look at our website or any of the sources that we linked for you to find the information we discussed in tonight's episode. We will put up the photos, the YouTube links to press conferences, as well as the sketches. There's a hefty reward for information leading to an arrest, but that's not why we do this. Tonight, take just 1 minute for Libby and her best friend, Abby. Take just 1 minute and see if you recognize the man responsible for taking 2 little lights from this world. If you have any information about the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty Germain, or any tips regarding someone you think fits the description of the suspect, please contact the FBI or the Indiana State Police. The preferred method is by the anonymous email tip line, and that's Abby and Libby tip at CACOSHRF.com. Again, we will link that in our show notes and on our website. Or you can call the tip line. The phone number is 765-822-3535. That's all we have for you tonight. Thank you for listening. You can find shareable content on our social media at Lost Souls of America and our website, lostsoulsofamerica.com. Please share often and help spread awareness for their cases. These are the stories of the voiceless. These are the Lost Souls of America.